First of all, thank you very much, everybody, for coming, and I want to thank all of the voters who are coming out and voting. As we've been talking about, every election has its circumstances, and the circumstances in this election are that, we had a couple of locations that were not open because of a key problem at a church. We had one foreclosure. All these circumstances are either completely ameliorated or ready to go. We did have one polling site that had a technical problem out in Mesa. That has been solved. And we did have a little bit of a software issue on some of our ballot-on-demand printers. We're getting to the bottom of that right now, but that one's being resolved completely as well at our vote centers, or at least a couple of them as I understand. I don't have all of the details myself yet. But I want to congratulate the voters in Maricopa County because, well, I haven't done all of the math yet. A rough calculation in my head tells me that we have over 86,000 voters who have cast ballots just today. That's not early votes. That's not late turn-ins. That's 86,000 voters as of 9:50 in the morning. So as of a little over 10 minutes ago. And that's an amazing turnout so far. Let me remind everyone that the election day turnout in 2016 for that last presidential was about 350,000 during the course of the entire day. So in under 4 hours, we've already got 86,000 plus voters in, and that's a phenomenal achievement for the entire team. And I do want to thank the entire team. We've got a long way to go. It's going to be a long day. We've got folks from all over Maricopa County, not just our election department, who you can see behind me, have restarted our tabulating processes. We're going to be tabulating today. We are going to hold off on some of our tabulation tomorrow because all of our early votes that come in today need to get processed. So we'll be shifting back and forth, and I'll talk a little bit about the timeline for when you'll see the results in a minute. But before I do that, I want to get back to thanking the folks, not just in the election department, but our partners all over county government. We've had folks from the county attorney's office, the treasurer's office. We've had folks from the legal advocates, air quality, animal control. We've had folks from Parks and Recreation. All of Maricopa County's family is coming together, and we're working hard to do this. Don't forget, some of these people are playing the role of troubleshooter, which is the doubling of our troubleshooters that we did from the last election. Some of them are inspectors and judges. We've got some of folks who are normally doing some other kinds of work that are trained into the new work that we've got them doing, setting up polling sites and doing all of that. So as it stands right now, we understand that all of the setup was done on time, and what we've experienced so far is a typical election day with typical run-of-the-mill problems. Now, that doesn't mean that we hit 100%, and some voters have had to stand in some lines. I want to address that very quickly. We've got some folks who support us from some of the larger organizations. Let me give you an example. Dominion, who is the company that we have a tabulating equipment here and out in the field, they've got folks who are actually permanently housed on site because we're one of the largest jurisdictions in the country. They actually fly folks in here to make sure that they're here to troubleshoot their equipment if need be on election day. They are astounded at the fact that we are checking voters in as quickly as we can. Our old e-poll books averaged about 4 minutes per check-in. Right now, at one of the sites we heard was having long lines. What we realized was that the long lines were not for checking in, but for the booths, because we're issuing ballots so quickly, folks aren't voting them as fast as we're issuing them. So that's where the lines are forming in some places. We're getting voters checked in many instances in under a minute. So if you're going to your assigned polling place, you're getting checked in real fast, and if you're going to the vote centers, almost all of them are operating completely 100%, and folks are checking in real fast. Again, we do still have some minor issues in some of them, but this is, again, to be expected. So I want to run really quickly back into the number. As of 9:50, we have over 86,000 ballots that have been requested and cast. That's just in-person voting. That's not the 100,000+ votes that we expect to come in through early voting. So I want to make sure that we know that. So insofar as later on this evening, I want to give everybody an idea of how the results are going to be coming to you. We're not going to be changing our pattern of giving you results at all. This is what we always have done in Maricopa County. There is one minor shift for security purposes, and I'll talk about that. First, after the polls close at 7 p.m., in every polling site and vote center, the marshal will go to the back of the line, declare the poll closed, and if there is a line, we'll walk with that last voter in line in to vote. So if you are in line at 7 p.m. and you've got your identification, you can vote on Election Day tonight. Please be in line by 7 p.m., hopefully earlier than that. So that's number one. Number two, at 8 p.m., pursuant to Arizona law, we will issue the results that we have so far. Those results will include these very same ballots that you're seeing tabulated behind me right now. Now, our system is a little bit old, and so it takes a little time to get all these numbers into the mainframe so that we can report it. But here's the shift after that 8 p.m. report. After the 8 p.m. report, what normally happened was that the precinct-based tabulators that you see all over the valley would get collected at a hub. They would get uploaded into these machines that you see over here. Along the side, you see some laptops. Underneath them are data pack readers. They're like old-fashioned USBs. They're about the size of an 8-track tape. That's what goes back in the back of the tabulator. Typically, we would collect those at the hub and then transmit that data over phone lines back here and report that as our results. Obviously, transmitting data over phone lines isn't something that we want to be doing anymore, and so I've made the decision that we will collect all of these data packs, we will bring them back to the warehouse and upload them on site. So there may be a little bit of a delay between the 8 p.m. early vote results and the precinct results that'll continuously roll in after that. That should not be more than about an extra half hour to 45 minutes, because once we gather those up, we got to get the trucks in and get the data uploaded. So I want to make sure everybody is aware. You will get your regular 8 p.m. numbers, but the gap between the 8 p.m. numbers and that rollout of precinct numbers is going to increase just a little bit for security purposes. Remember, we want to get this done right. We don't want to get it done fast. Okay, and well, we want to get it done quickly, but not just because of speed. After all of those election day results from the tabulators are posted, that should go through the evening tonight and potentially into the early hours of Wednesday morning. We will not release any more results, as usual, until 5 p.m. on Thursday. And here's why. Once we get all of those ballots in and all of that data in, we will have a huge amount of early votes that got turned in today, that are getting turned in right now in those green envelopes. We have to process and signature verify every single one of those envelopes before we open it up and get the ballot in here to be tabulated. That process takes a little bit of time. It is not unusual in Maricopa County to have this gap in results. We've seen it year in and year out, and so we're going to go ahead and use that same practice this time around. However, we are hopeful that the long term of the entire reporting period is actually going to get shortened a little bit. I'll give you an example. In 2014, in the primary, for example, so we'll go primary to primary. In 2014, we had 555,000 ballots that were cast total. It took us 7 days to establish that they were all good to go and report the results. In 2018, just this last year, we had 144,000 more. We had 25% more ballots, and we reported the results in the exact same amount of time. So that long-term days and days and days of waiting, we're hoping we'll be able to shorten that up. But understand, this election is looking more like a presidential election in the amount of ballots that we've got coming in. And so we've got our crews ready to work overtime. A lot of these folks have been working overtime for the past several weeks and months potentially, but we are excited about what's going on. So real quickly, just to update, as of 9:50, we've got 86,000 plus votes that have been cast by voters, and we had in 2016 350,000 all day during that presidential cycle. Okay, so that's only 4 hours worth of votes in a 13-hour day, so you can do the math on that one. So anyway, I am excited about moving forward with this.